Hi everyone, I'm Jay, and today I want to talk about calls to action. I want to focus on two main points: taking a stand and supporting your claims. First, whatever topic you pick, take a stand. As your instructor, I am not concerned with the issue you pick or which side you choose. My focus will be on whether you clearly take a strong position and support your arguments with credible evidence. You can choose any side of an issue. The persuasive speech differs from the informative speech in several important ways. In an informative speech, your role is to be a neutral reporter, presenting facts without taking a position. But the persuasive speech requires you to take a strong stance on one side of an issue and argue for your position, persuading the audience that your viewpoint is correct. This means you need to set neutrality aside. I must emphasize this point because I find students are often hesitant to discard the tone of sterile academic-sounding distance. This is not the time for pros and cons. This is the time to pick a side. I'm not saying it's the time to set aside credibility and reason. I'm saying it's time to set aside neutrality. In your persuasive speech, you must advocate for a specific position and clearly define what you want your audience to do in response to your argument. It's not okay for an audience to listen to your speech and not change their life in some way as a result, or to not join with you in working toward changing or reinforcing some policy, rule, or law. Whatever your speech topic is, your call to action is essential and is a key element of the persuasive speech. For example, let's pretend if you have chosen to speak about the U.S. Electoral College. An informative speech would maybe focus on its history and how it works without expressing any particular opinions on the subject. However, in a persuasive speech, you as a speaker would first have to decide whether it should be abolished or retained. Then, in the speech you write, you would explain why your conclusion is correct, why we too should think as you do, and then what we should do as a result. This requires you to be intimately familiar with the issue, to think through the real-world details of how it works, and to know which levers we as citizens should pull to protect or change it. Next, let's discuss the importance of supporting your claims with evidence. The saying, "You're entitled to your own opinion, but not your own facts," is especially relevant in persuasive speaking. It's not sufficient to simply make a claim. You must substantiate it with evidence. This requirement is similar to the informative speech, where you needed to cite sources for claims that were not common knowledge. In your persuasive speech, it's crucial to explain where your reasoning comes from and what backs up your arguments. In the old days, it used to go without saying that when we are reasoning in public, we must all use the same set of publicly available facts. Nowadays, in our fractured media environment, the point becomes more important. Remember, we aren't trying to convince people who already agree with us. We are trying to convince people who do not already agree with us. So we must be careful to examine our own assumptions and use persuasive strategies that will connect with our target audience. The textbook outlines several types of supporting material you can use: facts, examples, statistics, and so on. Each of these elements can strengthen your argument. If you use an example, it should be representative and relevant, not an outlier. For opinions, rely on expert voices and clarify why their perspective matters. And when presenting statistics, ensure they are credible and not just fabricated or cherry-picked numbers. Aim to support your reasoning with the best evidence available to demonstrate the validity of your position. By effectively incorporating these elements, you'll come across as a credible speaker, which is essential in persuasion. If your audience perceives you as credible, they are more likely to accept your arguments. Okay, we've discussed the importance of taking a stand and of supporting your claims. I look forward to seeing and hearing your persuasive speeches and arguments. That's all for now. Thanks for listening and happy speaking.